Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Recently, a review copy of Buffer Time landed in my mailbox. This is a brand new game from Modiphius set in the Star Trek Lower Decks universe. I admit I hadn't heard a thing about it, but it's a cooperative card game for 2 to 6 players, aged 10 to adult, with a playtime of 20 to 40 minutes, so I was certainly interested to check it out. The game starships in a small sturdy box with a magnetic clasp, featuring the distinctive art of the television series. Lower Decks is from the same creator as Solar Opposites, and you really can tell. Inside the box we have a small rules pamphlet. The rules only cover 4 pages and they are incredibly straightforward. This is very much a pick up and play game, geared towards casual gamers and anyone looking for an accessible filler for a cramped games night schedule. Also in the box you will find 98 playing cards, comprising 18 assignment cards, 26 side project cards, 28 shift cards, 20 alpha shift ability cards, and 6 reference cards. The cards themselves are okay. They don't have a linen finish, but they feel suitably thick, and they have colourful large-scale artwork that adequately represents the theme. However, I don't know, the art just doesn't feel quite as crisp as it should be. Some of the close-up images of characters seem just a little soft around the edges, and some of the scenes look like they have been screen capped from the show and haven't been reproduced in the highest quality possible, making them fuzzy and washed out. This style of art really benefits from bold, crisp reproductions, and I think some of these cards are shy of that mark. Nevertheless, the cards have easily understandable iconography and clean designs. During a game there is never any confusion over what they do or what their values are, and I'm sure fans of the show will get a kick out of seeing their favourite characters in action. Besides, it's the quality of the game that really matters, so how does this one fare? The idea is simple. You and up to 5 of your buddies have been charged with a series of assignments that you must complete. Only, you don't really want to do them. Sure, you have to do them, but you aren't going to let that get in the way of working on your many side projects too. The only problem is, your commanding officers are keeping a close eye on you, and if you get caught slacking, you are going to end up in a lot of trouble. To set up the game, simply shuffle all the various decks. Place the side projects, shifts and alpha shift abilities in the centre of the table, then deal out 5 assignment cards face down and put the rest to one side. Each player then draws 2 side projects and 2 alpha shift abilities, and then they determine a first player, who should be the person who most recently complained about work. Not me then, I love what I do. At the start of the round, all players draw side project cards until they have 2 in their hand. Then the first player reveals the top assignment card and draws the top shift card to start the shift stack for that assignment. An assignment card has a title, a little bit of fluff text to make fans of the show grin, an image and then 2 values, leisure points and target points. Only these values are important, everything else is window dressing. A shift card usually has an effort value ranging from 1 to 5, and I think you can see where this is going. The idea is that as a group, the players will play enough shift cards so that their effort total matches the target total on the assignment card, then they can log the job as complete and earn the leisure points specified on that card. Unfortunately, the number of leisure points earned for doing real work is negligible. In some cases, real work isn't worth any leisure points at all. Most of the points will come from working on side projects. However, each side project will increase the total target value the team is working towards, so you will have to put in more effort. And that would be fine, if it wasn't for the commanding officers that keep checking in on you to make sure the real work gets done. What ensues is basically a push your luck game. Starting with the first player and then moving clockwise, each player takes a single action. If the current effort total is less than the current target total, then a player can simply draw the top shift card and add it to the shift stack. Usually this is going to add to the total effort. However, there are 6 officers lurking in the shift deck. More on those in a moment. The second possible action a player can take is playing a side project from their hand. When they do this, they add to the target value of the current assignment, but they also add to the total leisure points. The third option is doing something special. This involves playing an alpha shift ability. These are incredibly powerful special abilities that can manipulate the decks in numerous ways, but they are very limited. Each player starts with 2, and the only way a player can get another one is to successfully log a completed assignment. Speaking of which, the last possible action is logging an assignment. This is only possible if the current effort value equals or exceeds the total target value of the assignment plus all of the played side projects. The player who logs the assignment moves the assignment and all side projects to a scoring pile, takes the top alpha shiftability card, shuffles all the shift cards back into the shift deck, and then the player on the left becomes the new first player, beginning a new round. As there are only 5 assignments in total, the game only lasts for 5 rounds, and the players are attempting to amass leisure points determined by the number of players before they run out of rounds. For example, in a 4-player game, players must amass 22 leisure points. This feat would be exceptionally easy if it wasn't for the presence of the commanding officers. There are 6 of them in the shift deck, 3 with a value of 1, 2 with a value of 2, and 1 with a value of 3. If at any point officers with a combined total value of at least 4 have been played to the shift stack, then the team have been rumbled and the round ends immediately. Not only do players lose all of the leisure points they were working towards in the current round, they must also discard the assignment or side project with the highest value from their scoring pile. As a result, the game is a balancing act. Players want to play side projects to increase their potential score, but every time they do, they also increase the target value, which means they have to draw more shift cards, which means they are increasing the chances of failure. Most of the time, players are simply going to be drawing the top card from the shift deck and hoping it adds to their effort value. It's a kind of blackjack, I guess. You are drawing and drawing, trying to get to your target value, but instead of risking overshooting the target and going bust, you are at risk of drawing too many officers and tanking the round. The best way to mitigate that risk is through the alpha shiftability cards. These do all kinds of cool things. You can remove 2 officers from the shift stack, add effort to the shift deck without the risk of drawing a shift card, look at the top cards of the shift deck, or even eject the warp core, resetting the round so you can try again. But that's the game. You win if you reach your leisure points total within the 5 rounds, you lose if you don't. And it's fine. I honestly can't get too enthusiastic about this one. It's a simple push your luck game with a theme that doesn't do much for me. It works, it's definitely a game, a fast-paced push your luck game that could easily slip into a games evening as a lightweight filler. And both my wife and my daughter loved it. That accessible, instantly understandable gameplay, and that tension of each new draw potentially revealing an officer that would bring the whole round to a screeching halt, really appealed to them. But for me, it was just a bit too chaotic. The shift cards range from 1 to 5, so sometimes you get a really easy round with lots of high scoring effort and you achieve your goals without much difficulty at all. Other times you draw a string of 1s and 2s and reaching even the lowest target feels like scaling a mountain. A bigger issue for me is the way the officers are structured. There are only 6 officers in the 28 card deck, but as soon as one comes into play, every single card you draw from then on could end the round. If a value 1 officer arrives, you only have to pull the level 3 officer and you lose. Sure, the odds are against that happening, but it can happen, and has happened to me more than once. If a value 2 officer comes into play, you will lose if the other value 2 officer or the value 3 officer turns up. And if the level 3 officer is in play, there are a whopping 5 cards in the deck that will lead to instant failure. This is good in one regard. You never feel safe. There is tension in every card pull. That's clearly the point of the system, and it works. I understand the intent. However, there are too few ways to mitigate the risk. Each player only starts with 2 alpha shift abilities, and they can only use one of those abilities when they are the active player. Additionally, a player only gets a new ability by logging an assignment, so it's pretty easy to burn through all your options. Often, it feels like you are simply crossing your fingers and flipping shift cards. Finally, the game feels like you are coasting until suddenly you aren't. It's a real feast or famine experience. If you can log a few assignments, everything looks rosy. But if you get rumbled by the officers, not only do you tank the current round, you also have to discard your highest scoring banked card, and you don't get to draw an alpha shift ability card. That puts you on the back foot for the next round, where you are being forced to play for more points, but you have less special abilities to mitigate the risk. That certainly ramps up the tension, but in a way that makes you feel a bit hopeless, and like your ultimate victory or defeat will come down to the luck of the drawn shift cards. Having played the game at different player counts, I do think the game is better when you have more bodies around the table. It's a bit more difficult to line up player actions so the right person can log the assignment or play the important alpha shift ability you need. With less players, you have less abilities to access, but you can more consistently arrange your turns, planning each player's actions more effectively. As a result, the game is somewhat easier, and often only terrible luck will lead to failure. Overall, the game is fine. As a streamlined, simple push-your-luck game with a decent amount of tension, it succeeds. But it doesn't set its phases to stunning, and it's not a game I will personally be revisiting frequently. My family enjoyed it, so I am sure it will hit the table occasionally, but when it comes to my own buffer time, I just have too many other games I would rather play. Lower Decks Buffer Time is available for pre-order from your favourite retailers, or you can order it right now from Modiphius using the link in the video description below. And that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.